Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation series. I am so excited today to have another Danielle here with me. I have Danielle Wallington here with me. She is the founder of the Kindred Community. She's the founder of FLOCKHERE, and she's a community builder. And I am so excited to have her here and to dig into what she has created as a tech founder and the beautiful community she has. So I'm going to turn it over to her and let her introduce herself.
Hi, thanks for having me. Great name as well, Danielle.
Yes.
Brilliant name. Yeah, so I am the founder of the Kindred Community, which is a community for female founders and freelancers, which I've been running for nearly 5 years now. And I'm in the process of launching a tech startup, which is an app for women who are working from home.
Yep.
To find spaces to work from and people to work with, and that's called FLOCKHERE. So we're literally like 7 weeks away now. So I'm not panicking or anything.
Now it did go from work here to flock here. What was the change? What made that change?
Little trademark issue. Yeah. So I thought I'd done all of the relevant checks and searched, and what I didn't realize, and I probably should have got a little bit more help at the time, was the searches that I did weren't in depth enough, and the trademark laws, which I've since discovered are so detailed and so complex. So when I submitted my application, it was actually opposed from someone else, a completely different name, but there was a similarity in that. That's why didn't realize at the beginning. So that was opposed, unfortunately. So, but I feel like it was meant to happen because I actually prefer the new name. So I feel like it was meant to be. It cost me a bit of money doing the legal stuff, but swings and roundabouts.
I feel like FLOCKHERE too is more relevant to what you're doing in terms of women coming together.
Yeah.
I feel like it fits it more than work here.
It does,
which
yeah.
I love.
And I think initially when I had the idea, is primarily for people to use the app to book somewhere to work from. So the work here kind of fitted because it was like, you can work from here or work from here. But my kind of longer term plan was always to add in the community aspect of that. So when I found the name FLOCKHERE, I thought actually this all kind of comes together for what I actually want it to be, rather than just a venue booking platform. It is more than that. It's a community.
Yes.
So it kind of goes better with that.
I would love to start with you as a community builder. How did community become such a big part of your life, and why?
I think so. Before I set up my business, I was an event manager for about 15 years in the corporate world, and I've just always loved bringing people together. I suppose I didn't really realize then what it was. I just always loved like bringing people together and seeing the conversations they would have and collaborations and friendships. And when I was pregnant with my first son, I felt really kind of that lack of identity and sense of self. I didn't really know who I was anymore. I wasn't working in that kind of full-time role, going in day to day. And I started to look for people like me who, didn't want to just be referred to as a mum. I still had ambition and I still wanted to, go out and speak to people other than, what my baby's nappy looked like. So I wanted to kind of find like-minded people. And I started to organize events for mums in my local area for that reason, and just started to kind of find people. And community to me is that sense of belonging. So it was finding other people that felt like they belonged to something kind of bigger than them. And I suppose it's just connection and wanting to be with other people that have similar mindset, similar aspirations, and feeling connected with people, I think was the kind of where it started from, and then it's kind of grown from there.
And then the Kindred Community, you introduced that. It started 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Can you set the stage? It's a non-networky network for female founders and freelancers, but how did that community building turn into the Kindred Community?
So when I was running these events for mums, as you do, you start to kind of do things and not have a big grand plan. It just all happens organically. And I was starting to meet other women who were in similar positions to me, who were starting a business, who couldn't go back to their full-time jobs after kids. And there wasn't really anything. There was lots of great groups around, but there wasn't really anything that was a bit more informal, that, you know, you didn't have to stand up and do like a pitch to people, or it felt a bit cringy and a bit like salesy. There was a bit of a gap for that, and I thought I'd like to do something where, you know, it's a bit non-networky, basically, which is where it came from, because there's so many women that, you know, are building amazing businesses, but they tend to be put off by the traditional networking events that are around, or the events that start at 7:30 in the morning when you've got kids to look after and school drops to do. So I wanted to create something that was, you know, kind of a bit more female focused, and something that wasn't as stuffy as maybe the other groups.
Absolutely. And I think that's the thing we're seeing now more of too, is more people, there's women's social clubs where it's
Mm,
maybe not so much work focused, but maybe it's just women coming together, because I think, especially I've noticed it, I'm 26 years old, you get out of college, you start working full-time jobs, you kind of look around, you're like, it is not as easy to make friends
no.
or get to know people as it was when we were in school or doing all of
Mm,
these things. And so I feel like we've seen more of this women networking, women social clubs, or whatever it may be, communities coming together with a need of just being together, to your point.
yeah. Yeah, I think connection is something that we all,
Yes.
you know, and there's so many studies, isn't there, about actually what creates a really happy life, and it's
Yes.
not being, you know, being super rich, it's the sorry, relationships that you have. So the connection, and especially the last few years we've had with, you know, lockdown and stuff, people are really craving that connection. It's, you know, being part of something else, being part of other people's lives, and that bigger picture is
Yeah.
really important.
And to your point of the non-networking network, I've preached for years how important even a platform like LinkedIn is to network with people, to get to know people. You have no idea who you're going to meet along the way,
No.
how they're going to affect your life, what they
Yeah.
can, whether it's personal, career, whatever it is. I think that is so important, because building a network that, whether it's for work or personal,
Mm,
is extremely important, because you never know when you're going to need a certain type of person in your
yeah,
life.
100%. And like, well, they say your network is your net worth, and all these other
Yes.
slogans that go on. But I honestly think, you know, sometimes in this world, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And having people you can go to for all
Yeah.
sorts of resource and help and support, like you said, not only in the business world but within your personal, is like,
Yeah.
I cannot think of anything else that
Totally.
is better really than that, of having someone you can go to, and someone you can trust as well, rather than someone you've potentially, you know, seen once
Yes.
online. It's kind of building those relationships and really nurturing them.
Absolutely. And I even, when I was coming out of school, I kind of had this infatuation where I was like, okay, I kind of figured out as I'm walking out of school where I want to be and what career I want to go into. And everybody looks at me and they're like, you don't need to go back to school. You just need to figure out who to talk to, who the right
Yeah.
people are. It doesn't matter what your degree is, because you have the degree. You just
Mm,
need to network with the right people. And it was kind of
yeah.
that reassurance for me that I do have this LinkedIn profile, or I do have these network of people. I just kind of need to dig into these networks to figure out who are the people that I need to talk to, who are the people
Yeah.
that I need to um, get my name around. And I think
Yeah.
that was kind of like a
A light
bringing
bulb.
up
Yeah.
things, but it was really like, okay, you don't almost need to go get the extras. You just need to know the people.
Exactly. It can open so many doors as well for you, that you, somebody that knows some, you know, it might not be that person, but then they know
Yes.
somebody that knows
Yes.
somebody, and it's just the web that intertwines is just, yeah.
You just keep digging, you just keep getting into the rabbit hole of things, and you
Yeah.
just keep going from person to person.
Yeah.
But
Someone will help
yes,
eventually.
someone will be there. How did Flock here come to be
Mm,
after the Kindred community had been created?
yeah. So we started kind of very early on, nearly 5 years ago, running co-working events. One of the things that I wanted to do was, as great as a networking meetings you have are great for an hour, a couple of hours. You kind of want a little bit more than that. And for me, I was always part of like a bigger team. I always worked with colleagues and people. I never really liked just working on my own. So I wanted to kind of have that collaborative working environment. So we mix the kind of co-working with networking in a way. So you'd come together, meet other people, and then also do your work, which we did. We actually did the work. And the co-working events were amazing. And, you know, we were hosting lots of them around the UK. But then what I started to realize was people coming up to me asking where were good places that they could go to work when these sessions weren't on. You know, if they had a meeting for a couple of hours in a different town that they didn't know, did I know any places that were good? And obviously my knowledge only extends to a certain limit. I thought there must be another way of people having access to some sort of directory where there's kind of curated, recommended places that you can go and work that aren't necessarily, you know, really expensive co-working spaces, that kind of bridge the gap between that. So yeah, the idea kind of initially came from where can people go to find a space to work, but then with all the community building stuff I was doing, it's okay, and then how can you also then find people you can work with as well? So it kind of went from there.
I love that idea too, because when, you know, COVID hit, we've been in this, some places are trying to get us back in the office, but there is a lot of remote work happening. And a lot of people are so sick and tired, I'll speak for myself as well, of sitting in their houses all day long and working every single day. These peer spaces, whatever you call them, are popping up everywhere in every city, and you can rent them, you can just get a membership, whatever it may be. So I think it's so important to have that change of scenery almost, where you can get together with people who are around you and get out of the house. I think it does a great deal to our mental health as well. It's a nice shake up during the week, and getting to be around people and not just through a computer screen.
Exactly. And I think that for me, having that working from home, having that separation between work and home life, you know, you're used to going to a place of work and
Yes.
then leaving home at home and then coming
Yes.
back to it. And that was all a bit blurred.
Yeah.
So I think having that separation is
Yes.
really important for people.
Yeah. And I even got to the point where I was like, I'm working in my office and I'll work downstairs in my living room, but I don't take any of it to my bedroom, because I'm like, because then it just doesn't become like a peaceful place. It becomes a place where I'm like, oh, I think I have to do work or something. So it's even, I've drawn the line there of just what is a great mental place for us to be working in. Because I think that's important. I think it really is, like you were saying, the divide. What is the divide there?
Yeah, and it's kind of setting boundaries, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
Of that kind of,
Yes.
actually, this is my home, this is my work. I'm not going to intertwine the two, otherwise you will
Absolutely.
just end up in bed, kind of working on your laptop at 2 a.m. or something.
Now, I want to get into the process of you creating this, because you did do a crowdfunder to raise money. What was the process of just getting this all created and getting, raising this money?
Yeah, so when I had, so I think I was looking at my notes from last year to my coach on voice notes, sending her these like frantic messages going, my God, I've got this idea. And when I realized how much it would be to develop an app, it's not cheap.
Right.
I didn't have thousands of pounds in the bank, and getting investment. And I know 1% of VC funding goes to female founders, so I knew getting investment was going to be something that was quite difficult in that sense. So I started to look at other options, and crowdfunding actually came up as a possibility. And it kind of, when I heard about it, when people were telling me about crowdfunding, it just made sense to me. It was like, I've kind of already been doing this for the last 5 years. This is how I've kind of built all my businesses. So I looked into it a little bit more. I got somebody just to help me, and we went with crowdfunder platform. And yeah, I had I think it was 30 days. I went for an all or nothing, stupidly at the time, because you can do an all or nothing or take what you make. I thought I'd take a risk, because also it's like, if you don't make what you want to make, then is it really worth doing? Is your idea worth
Right.
worth kind of doing. So I thought I'll do that. So I had 30 days to make X amount.
Okay.
Um, and then yeah, we ended up exceeding the total and kind of going over it. So I think it was 35 days in the end, which was the longest
Okay.
35 days of my life. it was, it was definitely worth it. I learned so much about like everything, and like what you said, network, like the power of your
Yeah,
network. If I didn't have my network, I would no way of, or I don't think
absolutely.
I've been able to do that. So
It,
yeah.
it's incredible, and it's incredible the the amount that you raised, and to your point, like that's just like LinkedIn pops into my mind again in terms of like just getting that message out and the sheer spread that that could have. But I mean, that's just amazing to me what you were able to raise in that 35 days. I have no doubt that was the longest 35 days of your life.
I've still got like PTSD from it. I think I literally, every time I see something about crowdfunding, I'm a bit like, oh God, I need a moment just to.
Not that. What I've loved from this in your journey, though, is that being a tech founder and doing this and raising this money the way that you have, you're giving it back, though, and you're helping to, in your community, help other founders and other female founders with their campaigns, and they're doing that. Can you share a little bit more about how you're doing that, what the outcome has been, and why you're doing it?
Yeah, so when I was crowdfunding, I was getting lots of people ask me, oh, would this be something that I could do for my, but I was doing it for a new business, but there's lots of people who have currently have a business, but maybe need some capital to develop a new product and I think I want to create more awareness in that there are other ways to get money into your
Yep.
business, to grow your
Yep.
business. And, in going down the investment route isn't necessarily the kind of be all and end all and the
Yeah.
first option. So I think there are so many people that are unaware that
Yeah.
this is an option for them. So
Absolutely.
kind of giving people the knowledge and the awareness that this is something they could do, and especially if their business is kind of based on that kind of community aspect as well. And it's a great way for testing a product and getting that kind of product viability, testing your MVP to people who are going to be your potential customers. So for anyone that's maybe thinking of launching or crowdfunding,
Yeah.
I'm working with founders really one-to-one, just kind of getting an idea of what their goals are, and then basically what I've learned, really the kind of things that I learned over that time, what I'll do differently, what worked really well, and how they can kind of do the same as well. So yeah, it's been a really amazing to speak, and just speaking to all these people that have they feel like they've been blocked a little bit from moving forward, and so many female founders especially, the barrier for them scaling at the same rate as a lot of their male counterparts is because of lack of access to funding. So when they realize actually they can have access to this money, it's going to make a massive difference
Yeah.
on how they can kind of scale their business going forward.
Absolutely. And I just want to point out when you were talking about your own crowdfunding, 1% of females with investors. That's 1%. And what's it like that to me is just so crazy because if you look now, the power that women have with creating their own businesses and companies and things like that, it shouldn't still be 1% because that seems like that should be 1% years ago. But today, it feels like it should not still be 1%.
No, I know, it's quite depressing, really, isn't it? And
Yeah.
there's lots of factors why, and I think access to funding is one of them, but also access to a network of other entrepreneurs and people that have been there and done that. So you can kind of look up and aspire to say, oh, okay, she's done that, I can do that too. And especially as young, I definitely, when I grew up, didn't have that kind of female role models. Business to me was very much a man in a suit, and it was kind of just very alien. So yeah,
Yes.
I think the more women that can have access to funding and can grow
Yeah.
their networks, the more we're
Absolutely.
going to be able to grow.
Now, is there with the Kindred community and even Flock here in the next 7 weeks? Where is the growth mindset for you? Do you have a growth mindset with the Kindred community, especially it's been live for 5 years now, but is there more that you want to do with it?
I think so, and I think eventually they're kind of become intertwined
Okay.
because a lot of what we're doing with the Kindred is going to be very similar
Yeah.
to Flock here, but it's really about, yeah, I want to grow it, and I want Flock here to be, you know, worldwide
Yeah.
eventually. And I think scaling the Kindred, I'm sorry, scaling Flock here will be a lot easier
Okay.
um on the app, and people to have
Yes.
access to the app. So yeah, I would love like every woman that's working from home, whether she's running her own business, whether she's working like 2 days in the office and the rest at home, to have access to spaces like within their local area that they can work from, and that kind of community and that support. So yeah, definitely I want to kind of continue to keep growing that. World domination.
Yes. Yes. World domination. I love it. Was there, when you've been creating all this, was there somebody maybe in that business suit that looked at you and gave you a piece of advice that you were like, no? Or
Yeah. Oh
somebody
my
that
God,
gave
so
you a piece
many.
of advice that was like, okay, yes, I believe what you're saying.
It's funny during the crowdfunder, even like right at the beginning of the crowdfunder, and then
Yeah.
like during it, I did get lots of advice
Okay.
from people,
Yeah.
mostly which I didn't ask for, which is always the way, isn't it?
How it happens, doesn't it?
Yeah. But I was told right at the beginning, so it was November we launched. I was told that it was too close to Christmas. We were just coming into like a economic crisis.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't a great time for people, and I did really have to think about, is this the right time to do
Right,
it?
right.
But I just knew that I had to do it. I couldn't wait until, you know, I just had to, the time was right then and there,
Yes.
and I had to do it. But I did get lots of people kind of say, I don't think it will work. You need to give it a bit more time, or actually your network needs to be bigger, or did, you know, so I did get quite a lot. And even I think even midway through, it was kind of like, what's plan B if this doesn't work? I was like, well, it's gonna, what do you mean? It's gonna,
Yeah.
it's gonna
Yeah.
work, you know, and I wasn't too naive to think that this might not happen, but I was going to make it work no matter
Right.
if that crowdfunding didn't work, I would have just done something else. So yeah, I definitely did get lots of people doubting me, which
Yeah.
kind of made it a bit sweeter. I was like,
I tell everybody I love when people doubt crazy ideas or whatever ideas that I have, because I'm almost like, hold my beer, watch this. I'm gonna so totally prove you wrong. I'm gonna enjoy it at the end when I do prove you wrong. To
yeah,
your point,
it
like,
spurs you on more, doesn't it? It gives you that motivation to be like, I'm going to show you.
absolutely, I'm gonna prove you wrong right here and right now. But it does make it sweeter. But I think that when you do have an idea, and I was sharing this with somebody, when you do have an idea and it's one that you're laying in bed at night, can't sleep because you're just thinking about it, like it is all consuming sometimes. Those are
Mm,
the ideas that somewhere like that's what you're supposed to be doing. Those are the things that you are supposed to be bringing to life,
yeah,
because they're the ones that you have so much passion behind. And to your point, you were like, there's no plan B because this is going to work right here and right
yeah,
now.
yeah,
I think those are the most powerful ideas.
yeah,
Like,
definitely. And if they keep coming back, then you know you've just got to do something with it, because we've all got, I've
yes,
had 1,001 different ideas each week, but there's only some that will keep coming back, and I know they're the ones that I've got to do.
yes, got to do something with it. I think that, yeah,
Yeah.
those are definitely the most powerful ones. Danielle, my last question for you is just what inspires you?
Um, I think I think again, the community, the people around me, the women doing amazing things, and also the women kind of who are, you know, 5 steps
Yes,
ahead of me, and I can see what they're achieving and see
yes,
all these amazing things that they're doing, because it kind of gives you that hope to
yeah,
be like, you know, I can actually do that too. But I think I've just built up such an amazing community of founders who are doing like extraordinary things on their terms and kind of building the life that they want around their family.
yes.
I think I definitely couldn't do it without kind of half of those people involved. So definitely my community
Love it.
inspires me. Yeah, I couldn't do this alone. I'm definitely not like alone.
I love founder stories. I think that what's incredibly cool and I'm sure you've seen a lot of this. Your story is not like somebody else's story who may be doing something similar, and I think that's the beautiful part about
Mm,
it is that no one person's journey is the same, and I think that's what makes all of this so beautiful in life and everything. But
yeah,
to your point, being in a community and seeing people you're like, that's really cool. I have an appreciation for what you went
yeah.
through, what you did, because I went through something similar, or you could just have an appreciation and an eye-opening
Mm,
experience getting to hear other people's stories. And I think that is powerful. It really
yeah, yeah. You all help each other as well in that way because you learn from each other and you can
is.
kind of you're along the journey together, definitely.
Absolutely. Danielle, I can't thank you enough for coming on and
Thank
sharing with
you.
me. I cannot wait to see when Flock here goes live in the next few weeks. I'm sure they are going to, those 7 weeks are going to fly
Gonna
by.
be fine. I work better under pressure, it's fine.
Live in the chaos is what I say all the time. Just live in the chaos. But I can't thank you enough for coming on and talk with me. If you do not follow Danielle or the Kindred Community or Flock here, all of that is going to be linked down below, so you can go give her a follow. But Danielle, thank you, thank you, thank you, and I
Thank you.
I can't wait to follow along on your journey more.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and as always, I will see you guys back here next time. Bye, y'all.
Thanks. Bye.